Since 2018, I've owned 3 Tesla cars, 22 Tesla solar panels, and 2 Tesla Powerwalls. Additionally, I worked at Tesla for 6 years in various roles within sales and delivery, with my final role being a store leader. So I know a thing or two about the Tesla experience from both sides. And this knowledge is why I won't buy another Tesla. Back in 2018, the clutch on the car I was driving had failed, and I was on a hunt for a new car with manual transmission. The new cars coming out on the market were all automatic. The manual cars I could find were outside of what I was looking for. I like driving stick because I find the driving experience with a stick is more engaging, and it's important to me that driving is fun. I wanted to find that joy, but within my budget. Since the Model 3 came out, I thought it was an ugly car. I only like the Model S and the yet to be produced Gen 2 Tesla Roadster. You know, the one that was supposed to come out back in 2020. I mean, it's only a little bit behind schedule. Anyway, after hunting for a car for a few months, Elon offered employees free access to full self-driving. This was so we could help him with beta testing. Even though I only liked the Model S, all of the Teslas were still fun to drive around town. In order to get access to the program, you had to buy a brand new Tesla. Unlike with other automakers, employees don't get vehicle discounts. Colleagues who had already purchased cars, they wouldn't be able to access the free software unless they bought another car. I decided to get a Model 3 because I like 2 things about the car. I like the instant torque and I like the autopilot. The instant torque made driving around town more fun, and the autopilot made driving on the highway more relaxing. I bought a midnight silver mid-range Model 3 with white interior and 19-inch wheels and full self-driving. A few months later, I had it wrapped midnight blue, which actually read as indigo once it was on the car. Everyone called it blurple. Actually, I wrapped all of my Teslas. The cars are built mostly with robots, but somehow the build quality was always inconsistent. Between the paint that easily scratched and the panel alignment, I wanted to get ahead of any concerns before they happened. Living in Florida, the paint would suffer tremendously. Florida has a lot of debris on the roads, and all it takes to scratch the paint is driving on the road with a car driving near you. With the panel gaps, you hear the noise from outside the car, inside the car cabin, because the panels are misaligned, and without an engine to mask that noise, it becomes really distracting to the driver. Wrapping the car took care of both of the concerns. The panels are taken off when they wrap it, and then they're put back into place. But when they put them back into place, it's done with attention to detail, and then they're aligned properly. Then the wrap protects the car from the road debris. Also, if you choose a satin finish like I did, you can wash the car less frequently. It's a good thing I did this because a few months after buying the car, I was promoted to a store that was over 150 miles from my house. The free full self-driving really came in clutch on the 2.5-hour drive. What wasn't super helpful were the windshield wipers. These cars were designed and developed in California, a state whose difference in rainfall is striking in comparison to Florida, in both volume and fury. Driving these cars in Florida rain proved challenging, to say the least. They weren't built for the walls of water that is Florida rain. Visibility would be practically zero during the rain season. Beyond that, the wipers would sometimes not come on when the rain hit, and this would happen even if my car was clean. So don't try and say that it was because the sensor was dirty. The sensors just didn't have any sense. Just like the phone key every time it rained. The phone key connectivity always failed when I needed to get into the car fast. The auto high beams too. They always acted a fool when I was in an area that I didn't know, blinding potential road ragers. That year, I had to drive from Central Florida to Northern Florida for work. I had to replace my windshield twice. Remember that debris on the Florida roads? That, in tandem with dump trucks that aren't required to cover their loads, my windshield was hit twice. I could not get a service appointment to replace the windshield for at least a month, and I worked there. At the time, there was one service center near my home and the one I worked at, and I couldn't get an appointment at either. Mobile service was just being rolled out, and I couldn't get an appointment because I worked at a service center, and they repaired the cars during work hours. I was able to get the repair scheduled with a third-party repair service, but I had to make the appointment for the service to be done at a Tesla service center because the third-party service couldn't calibrate the windshield after it was done. Also, I had to wait until they were able to get windshields from Tesla. Tesla doesn't make that easy. They are the distributor of these parts, and the companies are in competitions with the cars that are being made at factory. Guess who the winner will always be? Even when you can get an appointment with service, it's expensive. One of the selling features on this car is that it doesn't need as much service as a gas car, but somehow my Teslas have been in the shop more than any other car that I've owned. The windshields cost me more than $700 to repair, and once you fall outside of the vehicle warranty, the cost of service drives up. I knew this, and before this car hit the mileage to fall outside of the warranty, I traded it in for a long-range Model 3. This one was white on white with 19-inch wheels and full self-driving. I wrapped this one in satin silver, and it was by far my favorite look. I no longer had to drive that long drive, thankfully. The in-cabin camera used to bother me on those drives. I was constantly concerned about who had access. Trust and believe that I didn't trust and believe that some tech bro in California wasn't doing something untoward. I had no proof, it's just a hunch. I always felt like someone was watching me. Why do we need to record me when I'm driving? For safety? Whose safety? I felt violated. After a while, I started to cover the camera with tape, and then I removed it once I learned that I could lose access to full self-driving doing this. I heard about this happening, but I'd long avoided the experience. I was driving along on the highway, enjoying my car, when the software in the car glitched and my touchscreen went blank. I know the procedure to reboot the car, but imagine doing a scroll wheel reset while driving 60 miles per hour. It's not for the faint of heart. That's because it's supposed to be done while you're parked. If you've never driven a Tesla, when you lose your touchscreen, the infotainment center, this means the vehicle's information is gone. Poof, bye. The screen goes completely black. Yes, sometimes the touchscreen can feel a bit distracting, but not in this instance. How fast are you going? I don't know. Need to adjust the wiper settings? Too bad. My turn signals even stopped working too, making changing lanes to pull over a challenge. And if you're thinking, I don't need turn signals to change lanes, you are the problem. And you can't convince me that the crash out I had when all this happened didn't become office entertainment for whoever's on the other side of that camera. Even with it glitching out, this was by far my favorite of the 3 Teslas, but I traded it in anyway. By this point, COVID had set in and my husband was furloughed from his job. We sold his car and he was driving me to work because I wasn't handling the stress of driving in traffic in Orlando and working at Tesla very well. He'd get so frustrated over the phantom braking while he drove. The car would just suddenly slow down or stop on the highway for absolutely no reason at all. I traded in this Model 3 for a Model Y so he could be more comfortable. He did have trouble getting in and out of the Model 3 because his shoulders are broad and the car was really low to the ground. I actually surprised him with the Model Y as a Christmas gift. In my opinion, the Model Y is even uglier than the Model 3. I want you to fight me in the comments if you don't agree. It's especially ugly in white and midnight silver. This one was a performance model. It was black on black. And it was cute after I made it look cute. I had this one wrapped with clear satin paint protection film. I smoked out the taillights and I blacked out the windows. Then I removed all the badging. I even went as far as getting a custom license plate to match the aesthetic. Once I was done, it was fab. Mind you, wrapping a car each time will cost me about $5,000. That's what it would cost to protect the paint and make the car look less like an egg on wheels. This was our last Tesla before moving to Spain. I still haven't been able to change the account to the person who bought the car from me. I'm supposed to be able to do it within my Tesla account, but I can't receive the email that I need to complete the transfer. That's because I had to order the car using my work email address in order to receive the free full self-driving, and I can't access that email. And in order to change the email address in my account, I need to access that same email address that I don't have access to. I wish I had done it before I got laid off, but they didn't give me prior notice to get things done. But that's okay. And calling in to customer support is an act of torture, in my opinion. I wish I could share with you some stories about the lengths I'd go to assist customers while I work there. Processes are really siloed, and getting something as simple as an account changed is quite difficult. When we moved to Spain, we wanted to buy an electric car. We like having solar panels on the house so that they can power the vehicle and we can drive on sunshine. And when it came time to decide on what to buy, we considered the Tesla, and it was the first car we cut. The only thing the car had going for it was full self-driving, and frankly, it's overpriced and it's overhyped. We considered the Polestar 3, the Mercedes EQA, the Volkswagen ID4, the Skoda Enyaq, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Volvo C40, and the Volvo XC40. And the XC40 is what won out. And in the 2.5 years we've had this Volvo, we've only been to service once. and that was to change the cabin air filter. Now, YouTube is telling me to tell you that you need to watch this next, and if you're interested in seeing the house we moved to in Spain, click this right here. All right, I'll see you later. Bye!